Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we have round 12 of Once Upon a TBR Hunny Jar, which will be picking my books for December. I am really excited to play again. I love playing my game each month. I know I say this every time, but I really do love it. And I'm going to be making some changes next year, so this is going to be the last round playing it how I have been playing it. Because next year I have some specific plans and I need smaller TBRs. So, yeah, I'm excited. Let's gonna go talk about a few things first. So first up, I did earn a reward for October. So I do have another reward prompt that I can use. This allows me to forego a honey jar prompt. So if there's a honey jar prompt that I'm just not feeling this month, I can forego it and just pick anything. If there's a genre associated, I just have to fit the genre. So there's that. And then I do have a couple to put in. Two of these I did read the books, but they automatically go back in. So first up is a bookworm, and it's a book talk pick. So that's gonna go in here. Most of the time bookworms just go back in. I like their more general prompts. And then we also have the Zodiac Challenge bookworm. I think it's focusing on Nidra there. And so, yeah, we got that one that's going to be going back in as well. And then lastly, I used a reward in October for this one. So since I didn't actually fulfill the prompt, since I used the reward, I'm going to put this one in. And this is Kangaroos Are From Australia. So that one's going to go back in as well. I'll kind of give it a little shake and a little stir here. And so yeah, those are back in. I have my reward. And then before we jump into the gameplay, I just want to go over my Genre-a-thon picks. And so it's another year almost gone to read a classic, and I'm going to be reading two. I'm going to be reading Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I specifically wanted to read these two together. I've never read anything by the Bronte sisters, and so I specifically wanted to read these two together to read kind of the most popular from each sister. And I'm really excited, so I'll go ahead and read the synopsis in case you don't know what they're about. You're not very familiar with them. I wasn't as familiar with Jane Eyre, but it does sound a little bit familiar based on the synopsis. So first up, we'll do this one. It says, at last the day has come when Jane Eyre is to marry the man whom she has so deeply loved since her arrival at Thornfield Hall. But Jane's joy is mixed with doubt, for the man she loves is Edward Rochester, a strangely melancholy person given to dark and brooding moods. Perhaps the secret to his unhappy character is linked to the unearthly sounds that Jane hears coming from the mansion's attic late at night. What terrible phantom remains locked behind those walls, sometimes groaning and snarling like a mad dog, and other times shrieking with laughter? And will this carefully guarded secret interfere with Jane's happiness on her wedding day? So excited for that one. Not as excited though as I am for Wuthering Heights. This one says, heaven did not seem to be my home, and I broke my heart with weeping to come back to earth. And the angels were so angry they flung me out into the middle of the heath on top of Wuthering Heights, where I woke sobbing for joy. I have no more business to marry Edgar Linton than I have to be in heaven, and if the wicked man in there had not brought Heathcliff so low, I shouldn't have thought of it. It would degrade me to marry Heathcliff now, so he shall never know that I love him, and that not because he's handsome, Nellie, but because he's more myself than I am. Whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same. So I'm excited for both of them, honestly, to give them a try. Let me know if you have read either one of these, and which one you prefer. If you've read them both, because I know I've heard, differing opinions on which one people prefer. So I would love to get your take down in the comments below. So those are the first two books on my December TBR. I do have a very specific theme I'm kind of want to go with. So I have 5 books that I specifically hope to get on. I'll talk about them at the end if I don't get them on the TBR, just because I'm hoping to get to them, and so that way I can just talk about them once. But we shall see if I can get them officially on the TBR. I think that's everything for now, so let me go ahead and set up the game board, and I will be right back. All right. So just a reminder, last time we did get a 4, which is rabbit, and so if we roll another 4, we can re-roll if I so choose. I'm not likely to because Rabbit, as you see, is actually a free choice. If I roll a 1, it's Christopher Robin, and that's a coming of age or a middle grade and younger. If I roll a 2, that's Pooh, which is a classic or a comfort read. 3 is Piglet, which is not by author or reread. And like I said, 4 is Rabbit, which is free choice. And then just a reminder, if we land on blue, it's sci-fi. Yellow is historical. Again, ignore the fiction. I still need to fix that. It can be any kind of historical. Green is fantasy. Red is romance. Orange is mystery or thriller. Purple is any genre, and black I need to move forward 3 spaces and use the genre for that color. And then I also need to pull 2 honey jar prompts if we land on black. And that does not include the black up there or this one right here, just because that one sends you back to the bench, and this one you just move to the North Pole. So that doesn't count there. And then, of course, we also have our reward token we can use if there's a honey jar prompt I don't want to do. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and see which character. Again, we're still rooting for Christopher Robin because we still have not gotten him, which is really surprising. So shake, 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 and aha! Good luck. Last round of the year, and we get Christopher Robin. How exciting! So I'll need a coming of age or a middle grade and younger for Christopher Robin. So I'll just move him here, and we'll get started. All right. Hopefully this round's nice to me, like it has been the last couple months, but we shall see. We'll go ahead and go with this one, which is a green. So not starting off with a big move, but that's okay. And so we need a fantasy that fulfills the prompt of, go here. Ooh, okay, so I can do a favorite color or a random color. I did both because I don't always have a favorite color. And so, yeah, we'll see what we do with that. All right, let's see what we get next. Do this one, and that is an orange, which is a mystery or thriller. And that actually moves us a good chunk. We get to come all the way up here. Move these guys forward a little bit. And so that moves us a really good chunk, which makes me happy. So mystery or thriller that fulfills the prompt of, go with this one. Okay, a mystery or thriller that's an emotional read. This is The Fox and the Hound. All right, let's see here. Go with this one. Another green, but it's not back to back, so can't move double yet, and that just moves us right there. So another fantasy that, go with this one. Okay. Okay, this is a fun one. So this is Bookworm, and it's same book as Last Person, and I'll explain that when I go over my choices. So, all right. Let's see here. Getting some good prompts for sure. Hopefully you get some bigger moves though. Let's do this one. That is a purple. So that doesn't move us very far, but purple is any genre. So it can be any genre, but it needs to fulfill the prompt of, let's do this one. Ooh. So it's the Mickey Mouse gang. So it just has to have a friend group. All right. Come on, big move. Need a big move. See this one? That is a blue. So that moves us here, and it would normally be a sci-fi, but this says go to Pooh's party. So since it's a special square, it can be any genre, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of, do this one. Okay, needs to have a river or water feature. This is a Pocahontas, so. All right, let's see here. Do this one. Okay, this is another purple, but again, not back to back. So we actually get to go here, and this is Pooh's Corner, so it's another special square, but since purple's any genre, it doesn't really matter. And so it just needs to fulfill the prompt of, this one. Okay, so this is Snow White and needs to have a found family. All right, let's see here. Big move. And we have our first red, which is actually very good because that brings us here and we get across the bridge to the next red. And so again, since it's a special square, any genre, does not have to be a romance, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of, do this one. Okay, we got another book talk pick, so, all right. Hoping for a purple or a green so I can move 2 squares, get some movement here. But not too bad this round so far. And go ahead and, yep, had to. And we got another blue. So that doesn't move us very far. It only moves us 1. So this needs to be a sci-fi that fulfills the prompt of, go right here. So it's a sci-fi that's not real. Imaginary animals. Let's see. Okie dokie. Next. Come on, big move. Go with this one. Okay, that's our third green. So we do get to move 2, which is good because that would only be 1. And then 2. So we need a fantasy that fulfills the prompt of, let's do this one. Okay, so it needs to be in a different country, which, I mean, fantasies have imaginary countries, so that works. So, all right. Let's see what we can do here. Let's do, okay. And we get a purple, which is our third purple. So we go 1 and 2, which is fantastic. Gets us really close to the end. So any genre, but it needs to fulfill the prompt of, okay, needs to have wolf rep. So we'll see what we can do there. All right, we're getting close to the end. We get a black, we'll be done. And then we'll just see about the other colors here. Okay, that's an orange, so not quite done, but right at the end there. So mystery or thriller that fulfills the prompt of, do this one. Okay, so we got TIGGR, which is an ABC author. So I randomize a letter, and the author last name has to start with that letter. All right, so if we get a black, a red, or a blue, we're done. Any other color just goes off to the side. Let's do this one. And that's a red, so that's perfect. So we get it to the North Pole. Since it is the North Pole, it does not need to be a romance, but it does need to fulfill the prompt of, do this one. It's gonna be a romance because it is Lady and the Tramp, and it's an unlikely love story. All right, well, that is the gameplay. So I'm gonna go ahead and figure out my books, and then I will be right back with you. All right, I am back. I got my books picked out. I definitely tried to help myself out where I could because some of these picks were getting very dense. I did get all the books that I wanted to originally, so that was fantastic. So they'll come up as we go through these. But I was very happy I was able to get those. But it was Nidra got the whole crew again behind me. But yeah, I was very happy I could get the books that I wanted to get on here. And yeah, let's go ahead and go through. So first up, of course, I already talked about them. These are my Genre-a-thon picks. So we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte and Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So I already talked about those. Don't need to worry about those. Then we finally got Christopher Robin. Yay! All year I've been wanting Christopher Robin, and he was not rolling. And so I'm really happy we finally got him. And Christopher Robin is a coming of age story or middle grade and younger. I went the coming of age route because it's time for my annual reread of my Sergei, a love story by Ekaterina Gordeeva with E.M. Swift. Read this every year. It just is such a beautiful story. It is coming of age because it follows Ekaterina from when she starts skating very young all the way through, her teens, falling in love with Sergei, becoming a mother. So it really is a coming of age story and coming into her womanhood and such. So beautiful. If you don't know, Ekaterina and Sergei were a pairs figure skating couple from the 90s, and he died suddenly very young. And so this is kind of her memoir. And even though it is a love story, I like reading it a lot, not just for that component of her falling in love with Sergei, but also her coming of age and growing up and learning how to do things as an adult. Like, it's very beautifully written. I read this every year. I try to read it in December because my mom, this was her favorite pairs couple. This really reminds me of my mom, and her birthday's in December. So I like to read it in December, and it makes me feel closer to her. Um, I need to call her actually. I haven't talked to her in a while. But yeah, so this one I was so happy to make it work for a prompt. There is the first book. Then we got a green, which is a fantasy, and we got favorite or random color. This is a bookworm. And I don't currently have a favorite color. I often don't. I like all the colors, some more than others, but I kind of anyway, I decided to do a random color generator, and you'll see here I got blue green. And so for this one, I'm going to go with Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo. This is the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I read the first one in October, not expecting to love it, and I absolutely did love it. And so I immediately ordered the second and the third one, and I can't wait to read this. It's a little bit lighter than what popped up, but it still counts. Like, I'm not a stickler for having to get the exact shade or anything like that. And so this definitely works, and I'm really excited to continue with the series since I did enjoy it way more than I expected to. So then we got a orange, which is a I'm throwing prompts everywhere here, which is a mystery or a thriller. And for this one, we got The Fox and the Hound, which is an emotional read because The Fox and the Hound always makes me cry. Every time I watch it, I always cry. That scene where she's driving away after leaving Todd, gets me in the feels every time. So, an emotional read. And for this one, I'm putting on one that I had on TBR previously and did not get to, and that's Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. This one is, I forgot to tell you what the Grishaverse is. So basically, Shadow and Bone, you have Alina, I think her name, yeah. And she is a soldier, and there's, what is it called? It's like it's just like a area that's completely black with monsters in it that separates the country. And so she ends up, as she's crossing, they get attacked, and she has this magical power that comes out, and so she ends up come becomes a Grisha and is assigned, to learn her magic and whatnot. And this is following that. So I know that wasn't a very good explanation, but I'm tired. My brain's done. In this one, you have Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. And this one, her daughter disappears, and so I figure that's very emotional. So Ellie Mack was a perfect daughter, and then she was gone. 10 years after Ellie's disappearance, her mother, Laurel Mack, is trying to put her life back together when she meets an unexpectedly charming man in a cafe. Before she knows it, she's meeting Floyd's daughters, and his youngest, Poppy, takes Laurel's breath away, because the eerily precocious Poppy is a spitting image of Ellie. And now the unanswered questions she tried so hard to put to rest begin haunting at Laurel anew. Where did Ellie go? Did she run away from home as the police have long suspected? Or did something more sinister happen? So, really excited to hopefully finally get this one read. So, then let's see here. We have I didn't tell you what the next prompt is. So, we got a green, which is a fantasy, and this is same book as Last Person. So, this one I actually don't have a book for yet. The same book as The Last Person, so I love watching like food channels and such, and I love when they go and like letting the person in front of me decide what I eat. I can't do that because I have a lot of allergies and such. And I'm lactose intolerant. I can't have cheese, so I can't do that. But I love the concept of it, so I decided to make a book version of it. So basically, I'm gonna go to Barnes and Noble. I can't really do it at like a used bookstore or anything like that because it's just so varied. So I'm gonna go to Barnes and Noble and see what the last book they sold was, and I'm gonna pick up that book. I'm gonna try to go with a fantasy, but if it's something I've already read or anything, I'll just whatever they sold last. And we'll see how that will work. It's gonna be kind of a little nerve-wracking, so I'm hoping to do that before I edit this video. And so if I manage to, I'll put a picture of the book I'm going to read here. And yeah, I'm excited. I've been waiting for this prompt to come up. And I'm really, really excited to see what I can get. So, we'll see. You might already know what I'm reading. We'll just have to find out. Then we got a purple, which is any genre. And for this one, we got the Mickey Mouse Gang, and never wants to focus when it's late at night. But this is Friend Group. And so for this one, I decided to go with Battleground by Jim Butcher. So this is the final book to date of the Dresden Files, minus like there was that audiobook that came out and there's some short stories and such. But as far as the main series go, this is the final one to date. I think there's supposed to be 3 more that are actually coming out. And yeah, I read the other 2 I needed to still read in October. Gonna read this one, but after, what is it, Peace Talks, I just needed a break. So I do want to finish this year. This is priority. This is going to be the first book I pick up to make sure I get it done because I don't want to carry this series over into the next year. So this one, basically you have Harry, and he's a private investigator wizard, and he helps solve cases in the Chicago area. He works with the police. As the series has kind of gone on, there's a lot of different players coming in, struggling for power, and so he's kind of pulled into that as well. So excited to finish up that series for sure. Then we have, and this is where I really helped myself out. So we got a blue, which is sci-fi, but this was a special square if I'm remembering right. Yeah, it was Pooh's Party. So special square, we don't have to do a sci-fi, but we did get Pocahontas, and so it needed a river or water feature. And I know these aren't, they're blurry, and I apologize. It always is when I have to film at night. The light like messes it up, but river or water feature, and since it can be any genre, I decided to go with the kids book. I recently found this at a thrift store and picked it up, and it's Why Frogs Are Wet by Judy, Hawes, and it's illustrated by Don Madden. So it just talks about all kinds of like frogs and such, so should be fun. Has a lot of illustrations, and it's gonna really help me out as I tackle this TBR. And yeah, I don't know. Let's read and find out science books. So there's all kinds of different ones, and this is just about frogs. So there's that. Then let's see here. We got another purple, so any genre. And we got Snow White, which is Found Family. And again, I helped myself out here. So I decided to go with Little Dog Lost, which again I found this at a thrift store. I love picking up vintage books at thrift stores. And this is by Rene, Guillot or Guillot, and illustrated by Wallace Tripp. And basically, you have this little corgi puppy, and he's lost, and he gets picked up by this fox that lost her. I think they're cubs, maybe. And so yeah, he gets picked up by this fox, and so that you have that found family, and then I think some kids find him later on as well. And so this should be super cute, and I'm really excited to have another easy one on my TBR. Then let's see here, we got a red, and this was another special square I got across the bridge, and this was a bookworm, and it's a book talk pick. So I needed to go on book talk and just find something that worked. I'll insert the screenshot here. There was a couple of videos that popped up first, but like one was spicy, and the girl, the way she was talking was very spicy, and I just didn't want to go for that. I don't mind spicy reads, but just the way she was talking. There was a book I was just not interested in, another one that didn't seem like books I was interested in. So I found one that was at Barnes and Noble and was like whether these book top favorites are worth it or not. And that was Emma Louise. Again, that will be linked down below. And one that popped up was The Secret History. This is another one I did want to get on this TBR. I've had this book forever before it was Book Talk and BookTube popular. This was one I got from either my sister or my mom. So I've had it probably since the 90s when it came out. And yeah, it's way past time I read it since I have had it. And again, this is one I wanted to get on just because with it being my mom's birthday and such, it's just like I kind of wanted to do books that I've had from my childhood and such. And even though this is not a children's book, I got it from, like I said, either my mom or my sister, which they were older when they got this, obviously. So we'll see. This one, I know everybody talks about it, and this one does not have a synopsis, but I think there's, like, it's dark academia, and there's a friend group, and there's a murder, and trying to figure out who murdered, I think it's Bunny or something like that. And so yeah, we'll see what I think of this one. I know some people love it, some people don't. I also have the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, but I want to read this one first since I've had this one for so long. The Goldfinch I picked up recently at like a thrift store. So there's that one. And then, and again, that one's dense and big, so that's why I was trying to help myself out a little bit. Then we have Blue, which is sci-fi, and this one we got not real imaginary animals because this is a heffalump. And so this one I don't have the book. It's one of the few Ice Planet Barbarian books I'm missing, but it's going to be, what's this one called? Doo, doo, doo. Barbarian's Mate, which is the 6th book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon. I went ahead and bought a copy. I could have read this one electronically, but I do want a copy of it, so I went ahead and just ordered a copy, and so it will be coming. And this one, the Ice Planet Barbarian series, you have this group of women, and they're sex trafficked by aliens, and they get stranded on this ice planet, and then there's a race of aliens on that planet, and they, in order to survive on the planet, they have to have a Qui, and the Qui resonates to their mate. And so that's the whole premise of these women finding mates within this alien race. So it's been really, really fun so far. It's just such a cozy, heartwarming read. And I'm excited to continue on with the series. So there's that. Then we got here. So we got Green, which is fantasy, and we got Puss in Boots, which was a different country. And so for this one, again, trying to help myself out a little bit, I'm going to be reading City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This one, it says they go to Edinburgh, Scotland, so perfect, different country. And yeah, I'm excited to, I've been really enjoying, I read Gallant and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Loved both of those two very different books, and I'm excited to read something a little younger by her and see how I get along with it. So in this one, you have ever since Cass almost drowned, okay, she did drown, but doesn't like to think about it, she can pull back the veil that separates the living from the dead and enter the world of spirits. Her best friend is even a ghost. So things are already pretty strange, but they're about to get much stranger. When Cass's parents land a gig hosting a TV show about the world's most haunted places, the family heads off to Edinburgh, Scotland. Here, graveyards, castles, and secret passageways teem with restless phantoms, and when Cass meets another girl who shares her gift, she realizes how much she still has to learn about the veil and herself, and she'll have to learn fast. The City of Ghosts is more dangerous than she ever imagined. So, perfect, light, easy read to help break up some of these thicker ones. So, then we got another purple, which is any genre, and we got Mowgli, which is wolf rep. And so for this one, we are going, I have the perfect book. We're going to be reading For the Wolf by Hannah Whitten. I've had this one for a while. Again, another one I found at the thrift store. Actually, I think I found the second one at the thrift store and then ordered this one. But I've been eyeballing it every time I'm picking my reads. This one's looking at me, so I'm excited to finally get to it. So it says, as the only second daughter born in centuries, Red has one purpose: to be sacrificed to the wolf in the wilder wood, in the hope he'll return the world's captured gods. Red is almost relieved to go. Plagued by a dangerous power she can't control, she knows that At least in the wilder wood, she can't hurt those she loves. Again. But the legends lie. The wolf is a man, not a monster. Her magic is a calling, not a curse. And if she doesn't learn how to use it, the monsters the gods have will become have have become will swallow the wilder wood and her world whole. So I can't wait to read that one. I'm really, really excited for that one. Then we got An Orange, which is a mystery or thriller. And we got Tigger, Tiggr, which is an ABC author challenge. And as you'll see here, I got Z. And I was thinking, this is going to be a hard one. But I had the perfect book, and luckily it's a short book too. So I'm going to be reading The Prince of Mist by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. And this one definitely fits the mystery prompt. So it says it's wartime, and the Carver family decides to leave the capital where they live and move to a small coastal village where they've recently bought a home. But from the minute they cross the threshold, strange things begin to happen. In that mysterious house still lurks the spirit of Jacob, the previous owner's son, who died by drowning. With the help of their new friend Roland, Max and Alicia Carver begin to explore the strange circumstances of that death and discover the existence of a mysterious being called the Prince of Mist, a diabolical character who has returned from the shadows to collect on a debt from the past. Soon the three friends find themselves caught up in an adventure of sunken ships and an enchanted stone garden, an adventure that will change their lives forever. So it actually sounds really interesting, and I'm excited to read it, and I'm glad it worked out for the Z letter. And then lastly, we have Red, which this was the North Pole, so it doesn't matter. We didn't have any unusable disc, which was perfect. But we got Lady and the Tramp, which was an unlikely love story. Doesn't want to focus as always. And so for this one, the other book, because my mom recommended it, is The Thorn Birds by Colleen or McCullough. I can't really remember how to pronounce that. I always mess up on the GHs. But this one I think works because you have a priest. The one daughter falls in love with a priest, and so it's a very unlikely love. And so it says The Thornbirds is a robust romantic saga of a singular family, the Clearys. It begins in the early part of the century when Paddy Cleary moves his wife Fiona and their 7 children to Drogheda, the vast Australian sheep station owned by his autocratic and childless older sister. And it ends more than half a century later when the only survivor of the third generation, the brilliant actress Justine O'Neill, sets a course of life and love halfway around the world. Daddy's home, so excuse the dogs. Halfway around the world from her roots. The central figures in this enthralling story are the indomitable Meggie, the only Cleary daughter, and the one man she truly loves, the stunning, handsome, and ambitious priest, Ralph de Bricassart. Ralph's course moves him a long way indeed, from a remote outback parish to the halls of the Vatican, and Maggie's, except for a brief and miserable marriage elsewhere, is fixed to the Drogheda that is part of her bones. But distance does not dim their feelings, though it shapes their lives. Wonderful characters people this book. Strong and gentle Patty, hiding a private memory, dutiful Fiona, holding back love because it once betrayed her, and violent, tormented Frank, and the other hardworking Cleary sons who give the boundless lands of Drogheda the energy and devotion most men save for women. Maggie, Ralph, and Maggie's children, Justine and Dane, and the land itself, stark, relentless in its demands, brilliant in its flowering, prey to gigantic cycles of drought and flood, rich when nature is bountiful, surreal like no other place on earth. So, anyway, I'm excited, and like I said, my mom, this is one book she recommended to me, and I am excited to read it. I actually pulled this one, well, I pulled a prompt that this was the only book that really worked for it in October, and I used the reward because I did not want to read this in October, but I definitely am ready to read it in December. So that is the books. I think we have 15 total, including my Genre-a-thon books, which is fantastic. Of course, I don't know any rollovers yet because I always film about a month in advance, so I haven't even started my November TBR yet. But I'm hoping cross my fingers I should be able to get through my November TBR. I shouldn't have any rollovers. So, really, really excited. And yeah, I can't wait to dive in. Definitely let me know what you're reading in November if you have a book you're particularly excited about that you haven't read yet, or if you already read it. And I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.